What's up guys, this is PelicanMan here, bringing you a slightly different flavour of video today. So, I'm going to start by apologising. First off, I know my channel's pretty small and I assume I don't have a regular audience that's checking in as soon as my videos are uploaded, but I do normally upload a video of my Sun and Moon list on Mondays and a video of my Quest for the Holy Relic list on Fridays. So, the Quest for the Holy Relic video this week hasn't happened, and this is the list I was considering playing, which is a continuation from last week, playing a mono white list, trying out Pure Steel Paladin and Colossus Hammer. But yeah, what's going on in the world of Magic at the moment is that there was a ban in Standard. There was the Omnath decks are kind of taking over, and so they've taken action and they've banned Uro, which is fantastic. In Standard, Uro's kind of been strong for a while. Like, it's not to the levels that Oko was, but I think honestly kind of close. So Wizards has finally banned it, but they've waited until Zendikar Rising's dropped, and the deck that Uro is most prominent in is the Omnath deck, which a lot of the Magic community is up in arms because they think that, I don't personally know that much about Standard, but Omnath, Lotus Cobra, Scoot Swarm, those are kind of the issue cards in that deck. Scoot Swarm is kind of baffling to me personally because it seems like they're designing Magic very much with Arena in mind. Mechanics like Mutate don't translate well to paper, but my thought at the time was, I guess that's just going to have a cool animation on Magic Online, and that's kind of why they decided to screw the paper community a little and have this happen. But Scoot Swarm is doing disgusting things for Arena. Like, if your computer's not strong enough, you're potentially just crashing and not getting to finish a game. But that's the first part. That's in a long line of things that have been kind of not okay with how Wizards has been handling things. Things like Oko getting printed, which I saw Oko get previewed and I didn't really think much of it, but Wizards would have played with that card. You know, things like Veil of Summer, Arkham's Astrolabe, Hogak. There have been a lot of different issues and a lot of different things, like the Planeswalkers from War of the Spark. One of my bigger issues with the Planeswalkers from War of the Spark is that a lot of the decks using those Planeswalkers, especially in Modern, are decks doing the things that they're stopping. The thing that's really got me is the Walking Dead cards. I'm not going to go into too much detail. If you want to know what's going on with the Walking Dead cards, go to Twitter or Reddit or anywhere. It's everywhere at the moment in Magic. People are upset with the Walking Dead. I'm personally upset about it. There's a few things. The key thing I want to talk about today is in an interview, I think it was a Twitch stream or something, Aaron Forsyth had the comment of Magic is doing the best it's ever done. Like, talking about financially that they're, in my mind, that means they're saying they're making more money than they've ever made. They've got more players than they ever have before, and blah blah blah. And that's fantastic, and I fully believe that is true. Because there's things like Arena, there's like just more exposure Magic's getting. There's less of a... back in the day, Magic was kind of seen as this very dorky thing. Like, it was on par with Dungeons and Dragons. To this day, Dungeons and Dragons are still a little nerdier. Magic's kind of more okay because the whole esports thing and the Hearthstone thing. If you think I'm talking out my ass here, that's fine. This is just my opinion on the view of Magic by the wider community. You know, a lot of people are gamers, and Magic is trying to be an esport and be more okay with the gamers, whereas D&D is staying in that high fantasy realm. But I digress. My issue with The Walking Dead is that they're seeing the dollar signs and thinking that means that what they're doing is right, and they're going to keep trying to do stuff like this. So when I started this channel, my intent and my purpose was to play Modern and tweak my paper decks. I've mentioned before I've played Wurs, and I don't know if I mentioned I played KCI and stuff, but I've played a lot of different decks. But at the moment in Modern, if my LGS was open, the two decks I would be playing are Quest for the Holy Relic and Sun and Moon, because I've played a bunch of meta decks and they've been banned out from under me, and these are my mainstays. I've always had Quest as a brew I've been trying to make good in Modern, and it's never quite been good enough, but I have nearly day 2 to Grand Prix with it. Sun and Moon is kind of a deck that was meta for a very brief window, and I picked it up then, and I've really enjoyed playing it moving forward. So I started this channel because of COVID-19. Everywhere was on lockdown. I couldn't go to my LGS every week like I used to play Modern and to experiment and try different things. Um, and I was moving towards experimenting with these decks. You know, previously I was just trying to kind of work out, oh, what numbers of what do I want to run, but I'd actually been trying out some new things. I'd been listening to suggestions, trying out some cards that have been thrown around, or as you can see above, these three, the new cards from Zendikar Rising that I tested out in my Sun and Moon video last week. Uh, but my goal has kind of shifted back to using this as a way to test my paper decks and work out what I want to do with them, so that when my LGS reopens, I can go back there with my Quest of the Holy Relic deck, with my Sun and Moon deck, and have a list ready, not just be playing the list from 9 months ago that I was playing before lockdown. For those that don't know, I'm Australian, specifically I live in Victoria, and while the rest of the world is slowly coming out of lockdown, we have gone back into our shell because people have made poor decisions and our numbers on COVID were bad. So we had a brief respite where we were looking like we were going to start going back to normal, and then we just immediately locked back down. So I got to play at my LGS for I think there was a while in the middle of all this that for 2 or 3 weeks my friends were catching up once a week again to play Magic, and then for the 2 weeks following that we went back to our LGS and played in the weekly Modern event, and then it all got canned again. We all went back into lockdown. So I'm going to be using this channel once again to test lists that I can then take in paper to my LGS to play once it reopens. But the most important thing, the reason for this video, is to talk about the change in direction of the channel and the change in how I'm going to be approaching it, because going forward I don't want to financially support Wizards of the Coast. I love Magic the Gathering as a game. I do not like Wizards of the Coast as a company at this very moment. I'm open to that opinion changing, but for right now I feel like it's important that I take a stand. Not that I think I have an audience and that me taking a stand is going to impact Wizards in any relevant way, but I think we should all be willing to do stuff like this, and if enough people do stuff like this, that it adds up to something relevant, you know, to something meaningful. So when I say I'm no longer financially supporting Wizards of the Coast, what I mean is I'll financially support my LGS. I'll go play in their Modern tournament. I'm not going to be buying any packs. I'm not going to be buying any singles from my LGS or any online retails or anywhere else in the secondary market. Even though, like I said, that is impacting my LGS in a way, but it's impacting Wizards. I think me competing in the Modern tournament or not isn't going to impact Wizards, but it is going to impact the store, and in a positive way impact my local game store. So I am going to do what I can to support my store without supporting Wizards, and so that also includes buying cards on Magic Online, even though I'm not buying from Wizards. And with buying singles online from the secondary market, I understand I'm not buying those directly from Wizards, but there is a supply and demand thing going on where if I purchase something, it shows that thing is in demand, and they potentially have to replace whatever cards I buy, so that means that more packs get open and stuff like that. If the demand goes heavily down, that means the supplier will assumedly open less packs and be keeping less stock of those things, so that does actually impact Wizards in a way. Again, it's a pebble splashing in an ocean, but it is what I am choosing to do going forward to show my distaste in what Wizards is doing and to no longer financially support them, because it appears that the finances are what they're looking at to determine that what they're doing is correct. So just very quickly, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but for both of my decks, I actually have these, you can see the little warning sign on them here, these decks, which are not Modern legal decks. This is a collection of all the cards I own on Magic Online that I could consider running in these decks. So often what I'll do is I will open a new copy and then I'll just take out cards as I see fit until I end up at a 75. So this is generally how I create my decks every week, is by going off these kind of design skeletons that I've built. So what I've done now, this design skeleton that you're looking at now is kind of a hot mess. but it is all of the cards that I own both on Magic Online, obviously, because none of them have the lines through them, but that I also own in paper. So this is what I'll be using to construct my decks for the foreseeable future. There are some cards that I will still be picking up in paper, but they're little things. You'll notice that in Quest, one of my mainstays in the sideboard has been a 2 of Selfless Savior, which I currently don't own in paper. I am not going to be going out of my way to get them. I'll actually stick with running without them if need be. But if a friend of mine happens to have one, it is a common, I believe. I'll be happy to pick up a couple of copies. The other one is that I only actually own 3 Ginger Brutes, so I will be trying to pick up a 4th copy. In the meantime, I'm running some other 1-drop artifact in the main. So yeah, also for what it's worth, in Sun and Moon, my paper 75 is actually foil. I know, humble brag. But because it's fully foiled, I won't be running any cards that I do not own in foil specifically. Just, I think having like 1 or 2 non-foils is kind of worse than having like 10 or so, you know. So these are the lists. So that's the direction I'm taking my channel. That's the reasoning why. This is kind of what I have to work with. If you want to offer suggestions, keep this in mind. There are some more cards I obviously own in paper that could work in either deck, but I don't currently have them on Magic Online, and as I said, I'm not going to be purchasing them. And there are cards I own on Magic Online, like I said, the cards to go with Aketra's Monument, but because I don't own them in paper, I'm less... Like, that's something I'm more interested in doing, is potentially showing you Monumental Quest for one league or something, so if you want to see that, maybe let me know, but it won't be... I might do it as a one-off and then never again, because I really want to test and work out what lists I want to run in paper when my LGS opens again. So again, apologies that I haven't uploaded this Quest video. I just have been keeping up with everything that's going on with all this outrage, and I've been kind of unenthused with recording a Magic videos. So I've decided that I'm going to put this video basically in that time slot instead. But there will be a Sun and Moon video coming out on Monday at noon Australian Eastern Standard Time, because YouTube doesn't let me put it on the exact hour, and I don't know why, but I've decided noon Australia time is when I want it, so I'm doing that. But here's I'll give you a little sneak peek of what I've decided I am going to play this week for both decks. Kind of weird how this is going to work, because I was going to say, let me know if you want to see something a little different with the list, but like, you're not going to really get time to let me know about the Sun and Moon list before I play it, and the Quest list is very unique. It is one I haven't played on here before, but I have played in paper before, and I am probably just going to play it as is because I'm excited for people to kind of see how it goes. So Sun and Moon, our mana base is kind of samey, kind of what we're used to. I'm back on the Shelter Thicket nonsense, only for the reason that with what I own in paper and on Magic Online, if I was to cut these, I would basically need to add like how many planes I'm running? 7? Yeah, I would go up to 9 basic planes or something dumb like that. So I'm willing to run these instead for now and kind of decide if I want more planes or whatever. But like, yeah, it also depends how much white I need, which I actually need a bit more white in this list than previous ones. So maybe I could like do a 1 more. I don't know. I'll try this and I'll see if I get punished too bad and make decisions from there. Helixes, kind of all the normal stuff going on here. Still 3 Angers, still 4 of all these. 1 Gideon of the Trials, because as I said, I don't own a second one. The second Gideon slot is actually going to Day of Judgment. I want to see how the extra sweeper goes, because there's times where like these Angers feel bad and I need more of this. Also, I just need more rats in general sometimes. Like this, if this shows up the creature matchups, I'll be pretty happy. Otherwise, Elspeth, Sun's Nemesis is what I was considering there. The Chandra's, the Nahiris, the Hazard, that's all kind of the same. The Chalices and the Emrakul is what we're all used to. In the sideboard, this is all normal. The Rips, the Sonys, the Ley Lines, the Chandra's, we're back on that bullshit. Even though it doesn't work against Duro, this is what... I don't know, it boils in paper, so deal with it. We've got the one of Wear Tear as the third kind of Stony Silence slot, which is something... I need to actually check that. Sun and Moon. I do actually own a third Stony, so we'll put that back in there as an option. which might actually be something I'll test at some point because the rest of the sideboard's kind of iffy. We've got 3 Damping Sphere, which is kind of more than I would want. But it was either that or I throw in a Fry, which I might actually do at some point, but not right now, because, as I said, Uro is a problem in the blue control decks, and Fry doesn't deal with it, so Fry can get fucked. But Damping Sphere should help at least be like a better card than like a removal spell or a Wrath against like the Charbelcher deck that I versed, so it's technically more of a card than these other cards, whereas Fry would be still not a card, so it's fine. And Defense Grid, because I own one, so I'm like, whatever, I'll throw it in the sideboard as like an extra way to deal with the Euro decks beyond just Chandra. So that is the Sun and Moon list that I will be playing on Monday. As I said, by the time you guys see this, I probably will have already recorded or be starting to record the Sun and Moon League, because today is currently Saturday and I'm intending to upload on Monday, so I'm going to record it either later tonight or tomorrow. But that's the list, and the list we are going to be playing for Quest for the Holy Relic in just under a week's time is this. So we've got the 8 fetches, we've got our 1 Hallowed Fountain, 4 plains, 4 Secret Imperials, and 1 island, which, when I've run this list before, I've run a single island, and it is potentially punishing, but I think it's kind of necessary. Also kind of sucks the Iron Maces can't get the island, but that's what the Hallowed Fountain's for. I don't own a second Hallowed Fountain in paper, so I can't run a second Hallowed Fountain, or I would run a second Hallowed Fountain just to deal with that question in case it comes up. Normal, 4 Fairy Imposter. So this is another copy of Glint Hawk. It's worded slightly differently because it has to return another creature to its owner's hand, another creature I control to its owner's hand. Which Glint Hawk has to return an artifact, but they're all trying to return these, so it's kind of whatever, but it's like slightly flexible, whatever. The interesting thing is that you'll often see that a sequence I like is Quest into 0-drop, and then turn 2 Skyfish into bounce 0-drop, replay 0-drop, and then turn 3... Yep, 3, that's how maths works. Turn 3, trying to finish off the quest. So what Fairy Imposter lets us do, because another line that never really comes up is turn 1, Quest, some number of 0-drops. Turn 2, Glint Hawk, bounces 0-drop, replay 0-drop, another Glint Hawk, bounces 0-drop, replay 0-drop, and have an active quest. So if there's 2 0-drops, one of them should get to attack with an Argentum Armor on turn 2. So Fairy Imposter is essentially, for that reason, more copies of this effect. So it lets us more reliably get that kind of turn 2 combo off. Again, it does require 2 copies from this group of 8 cards, 2 copies from this group of 8 cards, plus this one card in particular. But it's slightly higher odds of that, and like that is honestly how I want to bench game ones. This used to be my default quest list, was this Blue Splash. We've also got Ginger Brutes as normal, because Ginger Brute is the best. He's honestly like one of the best cards that's been printed for this deck in a while. Skyfishes, as per. But we've actually cut the Stoneforgers out, because this deck's more aggressive. It's more I guess linear, more of a low to the ground combo deck. I've actually added in Soul Artifact, which is a whole different strategy for this deck. Kind of works off the same stuff, but it's really accentuates the aggression of the deck. This is kind of like what I was doing with the Pure Steel Paladin and Colossus Hammer in the last video, except it's in 1 card. So I'm still like keeping the Stoneforge slots out of the deck and seeing what else I can fill in there. But the basic, like, one of my favorite things about running in Soul Artifact is turn 1, I play an Ornithopter, I play a land, I play a Glint Hawk. Sorry, I'm just going to move these over. So yeah, turn 1, Ornithopter, land, Glint Hawk, replay bounce Ornithopter, replay Ornithopter. Turn 2, Blue Source, and Soul Artifact the Ornithopter, and now you're swinging for 7 in the air with this 5/5 Ornithopter and a 2/2 Glint Hawk from turn 2. So it gives us a nice aggressive plan. So I'm excited to see if maybe we can get a couple of wins with doing that. And again, it's also something I've played around with a lot, and I just kind of want to show you guys. When I first started playing Quest, I did intend to play this list very early on, but Mono White did really well, like the Mono White main deck, so I just tried splashes to sideboard cards. Because this requires more investment from the main deck's mana base to support the blue, because you have this blue 1-drop that's kind of pivotal to the combo, and this blue 2-drop that if you can't play this on turn 2, it's kind of bad. And for the sideboard, again, we don't get Selfless Savior, so I've got a single Burden Forge Tender because I've run the 1-1 split with Auriok Champion. Again, if I don't own Auriok Champion in paper, this would just be a double Burden Forge Tender, which is a lot worse than Selfless Savior, but it's what I own. 2 Containment Priests, 2 Canoness, because even though they don't do anything most of the time, I feel like they are a necessary evil, because when they're needed, they're very much needed. Single Leyline of Sanctity for the hand hate and burn matchups. We've been running Veil of Summer, so we don't have it, so we're getting this. And to replace the other half of Veil of Summer, we've got 2 Mystical Dispute, which is kind of cool. 2 Ceremonious Rejection for like the Tron matchups. Would like a third, but honestly this sideboard felt like it was hard to trim down to 15 as it was. The Singleton Sword of Light and Shadow. We've only got 2 equipment in the main, in the Argentum Armor and the Sword of Fire Eyes, because we don't have a Batterskull, because we don't have the Stoneforge. I didn't want to add another sword to the main. I could potentially go down to 3 in Soul Artifact and add a sword, but I figured low to the ground game 1, let in Soul Artifact do some work, let Quest do some work with these. And after board, get access to the second sword. I could even add a second Argentum Armor to the main, but that just kind of feels too clunky and high end with like what's going on here and everything. Also, you notice I don't have Martyr Soul, because Martyr Soul's power comes from being able to be vomited out quickly, which Fairy Imposter is replacing that and kind of giving a different utility, but in the same space. The last 3 cards, we have a single Python Needle for the Tron matchup. This is also a consideration because it wears Scissors pretty well, I find. Like, you play it, get the effect, it acts like it just sits on the battlefield doing nothing, so you might as well load it up with some Scissors and get in. And Soul Guide Land, which obviously, like, if you turn this into a pair of Scissors, you don't get the activated abilities, but you do still get the ETB, so if you bring in a fight Uro, you can Soul Guide Land, take out the Uro from their bin, and then just load it up with some Scissors, start beating in. If they later put an Uro in bin, something you need to deal with, you just don't attack and you just pop it. So, yeah, those are my 2 lists. This video is probably going to be way longer than I want it to be. I can't tell because my second monitor is freaking the fuck out right now. You might have heard it crackling at some point in this video, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're looking forward to seeing these decks in action, and I hope you understand my reason for progressing with the channel the way that I'm choosing to. With all that said, thank you for watching. Feel free to do as much or as little of the YouTube crap as you want to help the algorithm. But with that said, until next time, bye-zy.